Hi everyone. So today I decided to talk about Stoicism, which I think is a very beautiful concept, and a lot of masculinity influencers are talking about it, which I think is a good thing. But I would say there are a lot of similarities between Stoicism and Bhagavad Gita. But I think Bhagavad Gita has a much more practical approach towards it. Okay, so Stoicism is basically Bhagavad Gita. What Stoicism is saying that you have it, you have your feelings, and you still have to fake it. Okay, you try to mask your feelings, and which is a bit tough and it can be harsh on yourself, and I think is a bit unkind or unrealistic approach. But what Bhagavad Gita is preaching, that you control your senses and then you control your desires, which automatically controls your emotions. I would say Bhagavad Gita has much more practical approach towards a balanced mind than Stoicism, because Bhagavad Gita is not against emotions. Okay, emotions are fine. Even God is emotional, right? But it's about the direct instincts and uncontrollable emotions which can lead to undesirable consequences. That is where Gita is trying to say, okay, if you, and that is almost always rooted around your desires. Okay, so when you have a lot of desires and you don't meet your expectations in your life, you are prone to you are easily prone to get angry and a lot of extremism emotions. Okay, gentle emotions are usually formed by divine nature, from a divine and a balanced mind, and extreme emotions are usually born from a man or woman who is not under whose desires are very much, who somebody who is very materialistic and whose desires are not met, and he is so unsettling and upset with his life, or certain kind of situations. So that's why I personally believe that Bhagavad Gita has much more practical approach towards a balanced mind than Stoicism or whatever. Okay, so it's fine, but I mean it is still going there. But I would say Bhagavad Gita would be a easier handbook for you to have that balanced mind. So when your mind is balanced, your emotions are balanced, and you react in a much more rational and practical manner, and that becomes naturally attractive. And I believe it's not just limited to masculinity or being man. I think it is also good for women. If you look at Bhagavad Gita, it does not specifically talk about man, that man should live like this. Okay, it majorly talks about your soul, because your soul is supposed to grow spiritually. And if you basically actually try and understand the scriptures and spirituality, it is actually practical approach. Okay, Bhagavad Gita is actually the most practical philosophy you will ever find in society today, especially if you compare it with the modern philosophers. They do not talk about practicality, the practical approach to your life. Of course motivation is good and everything is good, optimism is good, but optimism and positivity without the practical understanding of life is going to be toxic and is going to hurt you in future. So if you keep Bhagavad Gita in mind and Stoicism, there are a lot of there are a lot of similarities that you find between them, and still you will find that Bhagavad Gita is much more practical and kind approach to it, because Stoicism is, I believe, a bit unkind, because it is required for you to have feelings and yet fake it and not allow it to flourish, and then that is going to hurt you in long run. But Bhagavad Gita is giving you a practical approach, that okay, you learn to control your senses, then you learn to control your desires, and then you learn to control your emotions, and that way you automatically become balanced, but not in a fake manner, but in a much more realistic and practical manner. Okay, so and then I would like to mention about the semen retention, the new trend that masculinity is promoting, which is again very good, because semen and the testosterone levels for a man in their body is very important. And this is why I think a lot of people are depressed today, because we have normalized a lot of things. I wouldn't be comfortable talking about it in much more depth, but you get the point. But semen retention, I think, is basically brahmacharya. Okay, and that was also being followed in our ancient times. So now that masculine influences are talking about it, okay, that's fine. But I think their approach towards semen retention is much more toxic and unhealthy for society. And whereas brahmacharya, you talk about brahmacharya in ancient times, they had much more respectful and healthy manner in approaching semen retention practice. Okay, so and it was very much revered, and it was it if you talk about Pitama Bhishma, even Pandavas were not able to defeat that man because he followed brahmacharya. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay, like Andrew Tate said, I believe in semen retention, or a lot of people I say, but they at the same time they don't believe in having boundaries, having morals, so that you don't cross the line, and they don't believe in having monogamy and etc etc. So what you are doing, you're basically wasting your uh, Siemens in a way, because you are not going to have children with them. That would be in their language cheating, because you only have children and you only take care of women who you love in their language, and other women are just casual for them. So then you are wasting your semen. You are not going to settle for them. You are not going to take care of them or forming a meaningful relationship. Then you are wasting your semen. Isn't that part of your semen retention practice? This is why I believe brahmacharya is not only practical, but a lot of it has a lot of respectful approach. And although I have talked a lot about masculine influences, you might say, why am I talking about these things? Because I do believe that we are so much obsessed with this modern culture, Western culture. I wouldn't say Western culture, but I would basically say this is modern culture, because Western culture was basically centered around the Abrahamic religion, and they also don't support their conservative society also doesn't support these kind of influences or trends you see that. So I would rather call it modern culture. We are so obsessed and we are so looking for validation from these modern influences or celebrities, that we do not trust our own scriptures. And even if they are saying the same things that our scriptures are saying, we look for validation from them, and it is not even in healthy manner. So my point is, please have faith and at least have patience, enough patience to understand what our scriptures are trying to say. They had much more scientific approach for humanity, especially Hinduism, I would say, because Hinduism is basically science, all science, but the level of their knowledge, the level of their experience was not compared, is not, today's people are not able to comprehend it, because today's science is actually backward science, I would say, because their understanding of science is limited to certain boundaries, whereas these people experience science way beyond today's I would say research, medical research, films could ever reach to that. So they explored a world in a much more divine manner than what today's modern science is able to, I would say, access. So at least we have some patience, and I would say it is a science basically. So just have faith. And if you talk about Andrew Tate, so first I listened to this guy and I was like, okay, this guy has convincing power. That was the one word I had in my mind. That was what I could figure out from all of his videos that he was talking. Why do I talk about him much? Because I believe that he is an example that why certain things, why our society, I think we need to observe that why our society is so much prone to get influenced by this kind of man. And I think we need to learn from it, that where are we failing, why is it happening, why these kind of men are becoming popular. I think that's what we need to learn from these trends or these kind of influencers. So coming back to Andrew Tate, so I had one word in my mind, that he has convincing power. Somehow he is able to convince people, because I read astrology, I follow astrology, I know what energies, how energies work. So that's why it's not easy to convince me for or influence me for anything that easily. So I would say that was the one word I had in my mind when I listened to him. This guy has convincing powers. So at that moment, because I didn't know what mudras are and what powers do they hold. Mudras are basically symbols in Hinduism. Like this is Namaste mudra, but this mudra is kind of opens your heart in a respectful manner whenever you greet somebody. So this mudra also helps you open your heart chakra, and it makes you more kind, welcoming, and more sympathetic or empathetic by nature. It kind of aligns your feminine energy. So this is Namaste mudra, and Andrew Tate is following this mudra. Okay, I hope everybody knows what it is. And this is basically yoni mudra. What is yoni mudra? So there are 7 chakras, as I said, and the second from the bottom chakra is sacral chakra. And it is in Sanskrit language it is known as Swadhisthana chakra. Okay, this chakra basically holds sexual power as well as power in general. Okay, you will see that Cristiano Ronaldo and or Andrew Tate and many other celebrities are doing this mudra. Irony is that this yoni mudra is actually a feminine mudra. It is the symbol of Durga Mata, and not only is it the symbol of feminine yoni, but this is the symbol of Hinduism. So he pretends to be Muslim, and then he uses this mudra, these symbols, to have an influence on people, to gather spiritual power, to influence people. At the same time, he is mocking Hinduism and making people convert into Islam, and mocking women at the same time while using feminine mudra, mocking women, calling them pussy or bitches or hoes and whatnot. So you see, I thought, then if you are a Muslim, then why are you using Hindu mudras? I thought you guys don't do shirk. What about Iman? What happened to your Iman? What about Allah? Why are you using Durga mudra? Why are you using this yoni mudra? Okay? They are actually supposed to awaken you spiritually and align you with the divine, but it can also be misused. If you want to take that's what I'm trying to say. Black magic is not particularly bad. Okay, it's like science itself. Okay, when you talk about anesthesia, it can also be used to help and operate somebody and their body, and it can also be used to abduct and kidnap somebody and make them unconscious and take advantage of it. So it is really about how you use it and for what you use it. Black magic by its core purpose was not bad, but it is just the science and the use of the spiritual power that your body holds. Okay, and the nature. Okay, nature has its own powers. You have your soul has its own powers, and you utilize it. But what purpose is that being used for? That's what in the end justifies or explains is it bad or good. But it can also be used for divine purpose. It can also be used for humanity, on the contrary to against humanity. Okay, so the problem is not only they are using this science against us, against humanity, and keeping ourselves misguided from that same knowledge that they are using again, which is Hinduism. So not only they are using Hinduism, they are mocking Hinduism and using it to make people convert into their religions. So that's what I say. Although I do think that these influences had an important role in society to play, because when I look at when I looked at the Western people making videos about LGBTQ and feminists talk about their mentality, the body positivity and all. They have literally a big size of tummies and huge bodies and talking about body positivity. And there are terms like gender fluid, non-binary. Like what? Okay, the definition of gender fluid is that you haven't decided what your gender is, basically. Sometimes you feel like a male and sometimes you feel like female, and you will become part of that woke culture. But when you see those podcasts, and you see these woke people literally triggered for something with literally for no reason. Now if let's say, for example, it's me, okay, and I am depressed for some reason, and the fact that LGBTQ community also gets a lot of attention, okay, and sympathy, empathy, whatever you say, okay. So I am depressed and I'm mentally ill, okay, and because LGBTQ community is very glorified and it's very much promoted, you get bored of your life, or maybe I was heartbroken, or now I feel like I am frustrated with my opposite gender, and it feels hopeless. Then I feel like being lesbian, I am attracted to females now. And then I suddenly realize that, okay, maybe I'm not lesbian, I am actually women. So it is not your biological problems, it is you just being in trend and ruining your life, wasting your time, okay. So these people are not part of LGBTQ, they are straight, but because of the trends and all, they get laid with it, and then they complain, okay, and then they are confused, am I actually lesbian? Because then their needs are not actually satisfied with being lesbian. So now they are confused, and they may call themselves to be female again, okay. So because they were simply following trends, they were not following their natural instincts. And now because they realize that they are not part of lesbian or lesbian community or whatever, now they identify as gender fluid, because they are confused. They say, I do not identify as any of the gender. What is it? This way anybody can be brainwashed, or how do I say it, kind of anybody can be motivated to be part of this LGBTQ community, anybody. Because now I say, okay, I feel like lesbian, I'm not interested in men anymore, I hate them, I hate men are trash, and I become lesbian. Suddenly I realize I'm not lesbian, because my needs are not met, because I am a biological woman in the end. So now I want to be a woman again, who is attracted to men. What the hell is that? This way anybody can be part of LGBTQ community. So, and the kind of attitude and ego, and you say the level of hypnosis these people have. There are two ways you can convince people. One is that you approach them with patience and kindness and explain them, okay, this and this and this and this is wrong, so this I don't agree with you. But then they will, because they come from the woke culture, okay, you don't understand this, I have been depressed, I have been you don't know what I go through, you cannot understand, just show some respect, just be respectful. So you are silenced because they are woke. So now, in order for the benefit of society, you have to be rigid, you have to be strict. Okay, this is not done, this is not acceptable, this is not how society works. We have to have a balance. Okay, one day you feel like this, then the other day you feel like something else. It doesn't work that way. So after watching those videos, and women with like 500 to 600 pounds of body, talking about body positivity and how they feel confident. Honey, it's not about the society, it's about you. Whatever is good for you, if that's not acceptable in society, then you have to fight for it. If something is not good for you and you are fighting for it, then it's a stupidity. Unhealthy fat is not good. It's not good for yourself. It's not about men and their toxic expectations. They are simply attracted to a beautiful woman, just like you would be attracted to a handsome fit man. So it's normal. But after watching those people, I do realize that somewhere these trends were important for our society to understand. Because me being an Indian woman, listening to Andrew Tate was a bit toxic. But when I listened to the other side of the story in USA and UK and their culture, I realized that Andrew Tate, to a lot of extent, makes sense. Because they have been depressed, they have been hypnotized to believe or follow or fight for things which are not for them. Okay, you have to have a clarity of mind, and at least if you are confused about yourself, doesn't mean you go around making others confused. Okay, make others follow your footsteps. It's not healthy. So to an extent, I did feel like maybe because I am an Indian woman and I have not been part of that woke culture, maybe it doesn't make sense to me. But it is important maybe for their culture. Okay, I grew up and I never had body positive attitudes from anybody. Okay, I do think that I'm a bit fat from a normal body, I would say. But I have been naturally responded by people. Okay, you need to work upon your health, you need to work upon your body, you need to be active. Because of now that I have discovered I have some kind of physical ailment, that's why I used to rest a lot. I was not that active, but people used to criticize me that you are so inactive, you need to be active. That's how you keep your body maintained. And I have had from my friends, from Gen Z people as well, I have had natural reactions. Okay, this is not healthy, you need to work upon your body. And that's why I think this level of hate towards body positivity for me could be a bit positive, because could be a bit offensive, because I have not seen their level of their culture, what the level of degeneracy there happening there. Okay, so maybe that's why I might have been failing somewhere. But to 80 to 90% of his views, I could these people agree. But the fact that these people call themselves to be conservatives, but they are actually not conservative. They are on because if you are conservative, you are God fearing, and you do hold some morals. And there are two types of people: one who would make mistakes and accept, okay, this was a mistake and this should not be accepted and this should not be promoted. And there is this other kind of people who make mistake, justify them, and then promote it. So those are the cheaters, I would say. Red pill community people, they might have cheated in the past, or they wanna cheat in future, followed by these trends. And these people, red pill community men, are equally degenerated as pseudo feminists, I would say. And this wave of masculinity influences, I think was important. Because why would you love somebody and want them to be weak? Okay, I think because feminism has taken such unrealistic heights that men, I think, are somewhere suffering and struggling with sharing their feelings and what they actually feel about certain things. So maybe it's good to see more and more confident men talking about their views with an open mind. I think it's important. Okay, they can also have their opinion. Why would you love somebody and want them to be weak, want them to feel unconfident? But I think same applies for women, right? So these people say that independent women are not attractive and they are masculine. Okay, I get it. Even in Hinduism, if you say, or any culture, women were traditionally expected to look after her family, okay, and home, and do some house chores. But with time we have realized that all men cannot be trusted. Okay, maybe now some men understand the importance of traditional women, but still not in a respectful manner, I would say. They don't appreciate they don't want to appreciate them enough to at least have some loyalty in a relationship. So I would say still not that much appreciated. But there were times when we had our downfall as a traditional society, and women were suffering, and we had to make them independent. But what are the positive side of independent women that man can benefit from? Okay, now that is a question. If a woman is independent and somehow, okay, I would say, because life is unpredictable, uh, a man dies, okay, and they have children, and the woman is dependent, then how your family is going to feed, and how is themselves, and how is family going to run? If a woman is independent, even when you are not around, she is able to handle it. This is why I say Gita is also for women, and it has always been, because it's, if let's say I'm feminine and traditional and simple women, I wouldn't say simple, but sensitive women, and I keep crying on small things, and I do not know how to handle my shit together, and I do not know how to deal with my problems on myself, by myself. I always come up to a man, keep crying about my problems, and never find solutions on my own. Then it is definitely going to upset a man. It is definitely not attractive, because now what happens is you just irritate them with a lot of now he is required to be present everywhere. Now if as a woman you are able to handle yourself in tough times as much as you can, it somehow supports man. Okay, and let's say you need some money, and you want to go to a bank, and because you are dependent, you don't know how to do things, you don't know how to drive, you don't know how to take money and deposit the money, or etc etc. So you are always dependent on men for everything, whereas a woman who is educated and independent, and traditionally I would say who has some traditional values, so this women will be very much supportive to you in your role. And same goes for men, I would say, because the definition of independence for me is not making money. When you are making money, you are financially independent. But when you know how to cook for yourself, you know how to do certain things, you know how to go drive, you know how to go to bank, you know how to talk to a doctor, you know how to talk to some government officials for certain things that you need to do, and you want to accomplish, or in a day-to-day life, then men will find themselves to be less burdened with responsibilities. And if a man, and this is why men are not fit for independence rather than women, I would say, because men, even though no matter how much money they make, they will always need women in some form to be around themselves, because they do not want to work do the things that women do as a traditional women, like house chores, cooking, etc etc. They do not care, that they cannot learn, and they don't even want to do. Okay, so either in the form of daughter, servant, mother, or wife, anyhow they will need a woman to survive. They cannot survive without man, because they do not and want to do everything that a woman does. They find it to be inferior kind of work. So that's why men are suffering. So if a woman is married to you and she gets divorced and takes away your children, now you are miserable, because you need woman in some kind. You are not independent, she is independent. She can do both. She can take care of your family, she can she can cook if she wants to, and then she can make her money. Okay, So and she will not mind doing any kind of work, but man will do. So either in the form of servant you will need women, so now you feel less empowered, because somewhere you also need to work upon yourself, because your mentality. Okay, so independent women I don't think is completely bad, because there are times when independent women has so much to offer, because she loves you and she is there for you. But I'm mainly talking about women who respect their man, who knows and values her man and their presence, and she has a lot to offer as an independent, who will be able to handle herself no matter what the situation is, compared to women who may or may not respect you, no matter if she is independent or dependent. Okay, I don't think that every independent woman is mean. I think it's up to you guys to decide that whether she is the woman or whether she will be a good influence on you. That's what you need to work upon. And this is why I say, why would you want somebody you love to be weak? If you actually love someone and want them to be your partner, then you would want them to be very strong and independent as much as possible, so that she can not only take care herself when you are not around, also take care of your children and your family, like a strong woman and like a strong man. And same goes for men. Okay, if a woman really loves you, she would want you to be confident and comfortable around herself. And same goes for man. Okay, it's love. With love comes comfort. With love comes feeling safe. Okay, when somebody loves you, they care for you. Okay, when they care for you, they want you to be strong, they want you to be independent, they want you to be safe, no matter what the situation. Just like parents do. Parents love us more than anything or anyone in this world. Okay, and they want us to be strong as much as possible. They want us to be the best version of ourselves. So for today guys, I hope you all are doing well, and please take care of yourselves, and please try and make a more harmonious society for tomorrow. Take care.